Our guest today is the newly appointed president of Dominick's. He serves on the boards of J.P. Morgan Chase and the Baylor University College of Medicine. Our guest today is a graduate of Texas Tech University with a bachelor's degree in marketing. He also attended Harvard University's program for management development. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the president of Dominick's Foods, Randall Onstead. Randall?
I heard somebody say one time, can you all hear me okay? Maybe we can get this turned up just a little bit. Are you hearing me all right in the back? You are? Some say yes, some say no. George works for me, so he's saying yes, but he gets paid to say yes. I heard somebody say one time after this glorious introduction, after they got up to the podium to speak, said, you know, I ought to just do the honorable thing after an introduction like that and just go ahead and die. I want to thank two people, if I could. I have a lot of people that are here with Dominick's that I'd like to recognize in a minute, but I want to particularly mention two people. First of all, Winona Redmond. Where is Winona? Where is Winona? Stand up. Where is she? Oh, she's right back here. I want to thank Winona for a lot of things, but particularly for helping with this event today, getting me on the schedule, and she's kept me pretty busy for the last 6 weeks, but I'm really grateful to have her working with us at Dominick's. I also want to thank someone that I think had a hand in making sure that we had a good crowd here today, and that's Mike Mallon. Mike, where are you? Right back here. Thank you, Jay, for the introduction, and I'm happy to be with you here. I want to tell you that I'm looking forward to working with all of you and participating in more of these City Club events in the future. And also, congratulations to the City Club on this year's centennial anniversary. So, congratulations to you. Also, let me at this point introduce to you someone who is very, very special to me. That's here with me today. I just don't know what I would do without my wife, Pam. And she's here. She's a great supporter of mine. She loves to go to things that I'm at, and I'm glad to have her right here by my side. Pam, would you stand and be introduced? And then also all of the folks that are here today with Dominick's that I'm just so proud to be working with. Right now, I'd like to ask all the folks from Dominick's if you would please stand and be recognized. I understand that there was actually a waiting list to get to this luncheon today. I don't know why, but boy, I sure wish I could find the formula. I'd love to have a waiting list for people to get inside of our grocery stores these days. But I do think that a lot of it is a testament to the importance that Dominick's has in our city and the strong desire that all of us have to see this great company succeed in the future and grow. Let me just, if you wouldn't mind, give you just a little bit of my background. I am the son of a founder of a supermarket chain in Houston, Texas. It was based in Houston, Texas, called Randall's Food Markets. Some of you may have heard of that before. And I got my start in the grocery business sort of in an unusual way. I was 10 years old. My father had a couple of grocery stores, and my dad was sort of an amateur coin collector. And in his bathroom, way up high on a shelf in the bathroom for some reason, were these rolls of 1962 nickels. And so I discovered they were there. There was probably 25 or 30 rolls of these nickels. And so I would, instead of using the bathroom closest to my bedroom, would volunteer to take my showers in my parents' bathroom area because of those nickels. And so I would leave after taking my shower with a roll of nickels. And I bought everything for myself and for everybody else in the neighborhood with nickels. And I can remember thinking, well, nobody noticed that I took the first roll, so perhaps I'll take another. And so I did, and as you know, over time, all the nickels were gone. In fact, I thought, well, my father will probably even forget that he even had those nickels up there if I just take them all. So I took them all, and he didn't forget. And he came to me one day and confronted me about the nickels, and I owned up to it. He said, well, you're going to have to go to work and pay me back. So 10 years old, he puts me to work in one of his grocery stores. So I'd like to tell you that I had this burning desire to be in the grocery business all my life, but really I got started because I was a thief. The company that I was with, Randall's and Tom Thumb in Texas, was a lot like Dominick's. I was the chairman and CEO of Randall's when we sold it to Safeway the year after Dominick sold to Safeway, and that was in late 1999. The company that we sold, Randall's, was about the same size as Dominick's. We had 120 stores operating in Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and in Austin. The transaction was about the same size, about $1.8, $1.9 billion is what we sold Randall's for, very similar to what Dominick sold to Safeway the year prior. We both held similar market shares in our cities. We were both number 2 in our markets. Randall's was number 2 to Kroger, as we're number 2 here to Jewel. We both serve the middle to the middle upper end of the upper middle end of the market. Like Dominick's, Randall's has, since the acquisition by Safeway, also experienced sales decline very similar to what Dominick's has also. And I think the reasons are pretty clear. I think most all of us in this room who shop have an opinion. We've all become pretty big experts on all the perils and problems that have plagued your favorite Dominick stores. Products certainly have changed. Some of the quality in the perishable departments has been replaced with some of the ready-made and boxed products. Centralization pressed on an organization that was not centralized has cost us good people, good talented people. And what was once a special place to shop became ordinary. And so our customers then were sort of free to go anywhere they wanted to go because Dominick's just had seemed to have lost his point of differentiation in the marketplace. And if I had to boil it all down into one phrase, what's happened with Dominick's and with Randall's, for that matter, I would say that Dominick's has really lost its identity. Well, I'm here because I want to help Dominick's get its identity back. And since I've been here for 6 weeks now, there's 5 or 6 questions that sort of just continue to come up. And people ask me over and over these 5 or 6 things. And so I thought what I'd do is just sort of answer these 5 or 6 things for you. And I think that will probably answer a lot of the questions that we would have in this room today. And then after I'm finished answering these 5 or 6 questions, perhaps you would like to ask me a few questions, and I'd be happy to take your questions. First question that I get a lot from people is, why do you want to do this? You know, why are you here? And why would you want to come up to Chicago? You've lived in Houston, Texas, and it's nice and warm down there for all these years, and you've never lived anywhere else. And you know, what's the attraction? And I say, first of all, I love this business. I love the supermarket business. I've been out of it for 4 years, but I've really missed it. Secondly, I think that when I look at Dominick's and the opportunity that Dominick's has in this market, I am greatly encouraged by what I find here. First of all, you have a great city. Chicago is a fantastic city. My wife and I are having a ball being in this city. It's always a tough transition from one city to the next, but I'll tell you, coming here has been very easy, and you have made it that way for us. So we've got a great city. I think we've got great locations. A lot of you who are developers in real estate, in the real estate business, know that we do have some good locations around the city, so that's a strong attribute and attraction for me. We have a strong number 2 market share here in Chicagoland to Jewel. Very important to me was the proud history that Dominick's has and has had over the last 75 or so years. It's a company that has a lot of pride with its people, has a proud history and a rich history, and that's something strong to build on. The brand equity and the word Dominick's around town is strong. I think it's a testament to why a lot of us are here today, because we care about Dominick's, we care about this city. That's Mr. D himself singing to us. Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to start singing or if I'm supposed to get inside a coffin, but I will say that I do have tremendous respect for the DiMatteo family, the founding families of this company, and I think that's a part of the heritage that I want to recognize and give the respect that it deserves in this city. So that's why I'm here. I care about Dominick's. I care about this business. This is a great city, and it's very attracting to me for those reasons. Second question that I get usually comes early in the conversation is Safeway going to give you the autonomy that you're going to need to restore Dominick's and to run this company? And I think that people ask me that question because they must assume that my predecessors, the people that have been here before me, have not been given that kind of autonomy. That everything is centralized and everything in California, we're just here sort of to unlock the doors on 113 stores every day, and that's not the case. I have the commitment from Steve Bird that I will have the autonomy that I need to restore this franchise. And that was one of the most important factors for me when I accepted this position. And not once since I've been here, in the 6 weeks that I've already been here, has anyone out in California been anything but supportive. You've got to know that just as badly as you want to see Dominick's restored, they do too. And I think that it's a testament to Safeway that they recognize that they needed someone a little different from what they've had in the past to run this company. I'm not a Safeway employee. I'm a Dominick's employee. I've never worked for Safeway. First time that I can ever know in their history, ever recall in Safeway's history that they've hired somebody from the outside to run a division for their company. I give them credit for that. That says to me that they have made mistakes and they recognize that the kind of leadership that Dominick's needs to look a lot like what Dominick's used to have. Steve Bird tried to hire me about, a year and a half or so ago to go run Texas again. The guy that was running Texas that took my place when we sold decided to go somewhere else, and so Steve called one day and says, "You want to run Randall's again?" And I said, "Well, I'd love to, but what's changed since the last time we had this conversation?" He said, "Well, why don't you sit down and figure out what you would need to do to restore Randall's in Texas?" So I did. Went to see him, presented my plan, and said, basically rolled out what I felt like I would need to be successful, which was very similar to what I feel like I need here. And after I told him that I wanted to control the advertising and the pricing and the people and all of the things that a local company needs to control, he came back to me and says, "I just don't think that's going to work." And I said, "I don't think it is either." So he wasn't ready. They weren't ready for that to fit into their model. So I will have the autonomy to run this division, as we need to run it here for the people in Chicago. Third question I get has to do with labor. I think everybody is well versed on the labor issues that have plagued Dominick's, are plaguing this industry. So what's the situation with labor? What's the status of the negotiations? How long is it going to be before you get a contract? How does Southern California and what's going on out there, how does that play into the issues here in Chicago? Oh, and I also hear, you don't have any union experience, do you? Before I even took the job up here, people were already, had heard that I was going to possibly come up here and positioning that, here's a guy from Texas that has no union experience whatsoever coming up to this market, that's not going to work very well. Well, when I'm asked that question, I tell people that, you're right, I don't have a lot of union experience. I can't change that. I don't apologize for that, but certainly the people that do have an awful lot of union experience have had a pretty hard time getting together and getting things done. So perhaps it's time for someone a little bit different. Well, the status is this. The status is we still don't have a labor agreement today. We're still operating under the expired agreement that expired over a year ago. We have begun to talk. We just got together for the first time in a long time this past week and sat down with labor leaders, local labor leaders, and I felt like had a good productive start to things, and we will be getting back together in mid-January to begin more serious negotiations. But what's different today is I think that the climate between the two is improving. I think our people, our own employees are feeling better about Dominick's future today. And I think going into those negotiations, that'll only serve us well. And it's possible, you should know, it's possible, probably not probable, but that we could have an agreement here before Southern California is signed. It's not, you shouldn't expect that we can't have an agreement in Chicago until Southern California is resolved, although I will tell you that I think that will be difficult for us to get that done because there are issues that are being negotiated in both of those contracts that are similar. The big picture is this. Our industry, the supermarket industry, is at a major disadvantage on labor cost to the big box operators. And it's not just wages. It's really the health care is where we are really at a disadvantage. Today here in Chicago and in Southern California also, employees don't pay a dime. They don't pay a penny for health care cost at all. I do, and I would imagine that most everybody in here does also. But this market is very unique, and so is Southern California, in that there is not one penny paid by employees to offset that premium that has been rising at double-digit rates every year for this industry. And I'm not talking about just Safeway. I'm talking about Kroger and Albertsons and Ahold and everybody that's in the supermarket industry. It's way out of control. And in most companies today, there is some small premium paid. I think the big stumbling block is like a $5 premium per week for an individual for their insurance health care benefits and $15 a week for a family. So that's whatever you hear, that's sort of the delta here. It's not about so much the wages. It's about if whether or not we're going to be successful in asking our employees to help offset some of that premium cost. Because you know what happens. A couple, they want coverage, so one of the members of the family go work at Dominick's and get covered for the family. And the other one goes to Walmart or Costco or somewhere else where they don't have any benefits, and now they're covered. And that's what's happening to us. So we're paying the insurance burden on a lot of other retailers out there, and we know that's the case. I'm hopeful, though, that we can get all of this behind us in the first quarter. When I go in our stores, though, I don't see union and non-union. I just don't feel that at all. We talk about it a lot in the press, and it's certainly a big issue. But, when I walk in the stores, I just see people that want to do a great job. I see great employees that care a lot about their company, that have a lot of pride about what they're doing, that want to do it better, that want to see Dominick's get, reestablished like it was years ago in this market. That's what I see. I don't feel like there's all this union stuff going on. And so that's, I think, a good thing. Another question that I get has to do with closed stores. And you all, I think, have probably read in the newspaper that we're going to close some stores. And so people say, what's happening with store closure? Are you going to close some stores? And the answer is yes, we are going to close some stores. I have been very honest about that. I have been very open about that with everybody that I've talked with that has put aside the labor issues, put aside all these other issues. If you operated Dominick's, if you invested in Dominick's, it would be to your advantage to insist that unprofitable stores, extremely unprofitable stores, are closed. And we will be doing that. We're not disclosing the number of stores. I can tell you that's not a huge number of stores. So if you think that we're closing 40, 50 stores, that's not going to happen, not even close to that. So we will hopefully announce that very soon after the first of the year and get that behind us too. However, closings are a part of retail. Walmart closes stores, Wegmans closes stores, H-E-B closes stores. The best retailers in America close stores. Patterns change, streets change, neighborhoods change. We're always repositioning our stores, and we'll be doing the same thing. It's just that we haven't done a lot of that in the last few years, so we've kind of got a little bit of a backlog. But I want to talk to you more about openings because that's, I think, the more exciting part of the business. Let me just give you a couple of statistics. Since 1998, which is when Safeway acquired this division, or acquired Dominick's, Dominick's has closed 21 stores. Every one of them unprofitable. But did you know that since 1998 that Dominick's has opened 24 new stores, brand new stores? Safeway has spent $455 million in capital here in Chicago and Dominick's since the acquisition, and remodeled 35 stores at the same time, and opened fuel stations. So in addition to store closings, I hope to be able to at the same time announce to you a lot of new store openings, new projects that can begin as soon as sometime in 2004. Because we have a lot to do here to get caught up. So this is not a story about retreat. Dominick's is a story about growth. So the point here is the capital is back on for us. And I know a lot of you are developers here. You're in the real estate business, and I want to go on notice now that we want the pick of the litter on location. So if you've got good locations, don't take it to Jewel. Bring it here to Mike and myself because we want to get back in the game on that. And we believe that we're going to make you very proud to have us as anchor tenants in your projects. I do think that Dominick should have 175 to 200 stores in this market sometime within the next 10 years. I really feel like that's what we need to have to cover this market adequately. Another question I get is how will you turn Dominick's around? How will your team turn Dominick's around? First of all, we're going to do it with a strong group of individuals that you saw stand just earlier. I've got a great group to work with. Not knowing anything about the company other than what I'd heard about and from talking to other people, I didn't know what to expect when I got here and what kind of management team I would inherit. I haven't needed to make any changes, don't plan on making any changes there. I don't know that much about this city. I have an awful lot to learn. And so, I would be crazy to bring other people in from the outside that don't know anything about this city either. So I'm very pleased. Even if I was tempted to bring other people in, I wouldn't do it just because I think we've got the right people in the places that need to be there now. Jeff and Don and Teresa, Dwayne and Mike, those are my direct reports, and I just think they're fantastic, and I look forward to working with them for a long time. So that's the first key in turning the company around. It revolves around people, and I think we've got the right ones. But to me, it's pretty simple also, is you give people in this business what they want. I think that's what Dominick DiMatteo did for years. He was in the business of not telling people what they wanted, but giving them what they wanted. So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give people of Chicago what they want. If they want Safeway Select, then I'm going to give them Safeway Select. If they don't want that, then we're not going to give them that. And if they want something else, they want it's local, it'll be local. You see, this is not that hard. That's what all of us, we tend to make things a little bit harder sometimes than they really are. This business is about giving people what they want. What's happened to Dominick's, I don't think is all that different in companies that have been acquired. A lot of you have worked for companies, maybe you've just recently been acquired, maybe you were several years ago. And as companies get acquired, there's typically, it's a very difficult transition. And we've been through that too. And I want to tell you a little bit about a little bit of a story. Randall's back in 1992 bought a company very similar to our size at the time, which is called Tom Thumb up in Dallas. Some of you may have heard of Tom Thumb stores. Very different from us, from the Randall's stores, in that they had a lot of debt. We had none. They were in Houston. They were in Dallas, and we were in Houston. And if you don't know anything about Houston and Dallas dynamics, it's kind of like the White Sox and the Cubs, okay? So if you understand that difference, then it's pretty much the same thing. And then, so we're the White Sox down in Houston, and the Cubs are up in the Dallas area. The Dallas folks, they sort of look down upon the Houston folks, is sort of the way it is. They're just a bunch of hillbillies down there in Houston, riding around in their pickup trucks with the gun racks in the back, and we're the ones that are more cosmopolitan. And so we bought this company, Houston bought this company that was in Dallas, and so the people in Dallas didn't really take too kindly to that. They felt about their stores like you feel about Dominick's. And so we really struggled. We just couldn't do anything right. Everything that we did, which was a benefit to Tom Thumb stores, we just didn't get any credit for it. The customers didn't like us, the employees didn't like us, and it was very, very frustrating. And it wasn't until about 1996 when my father, who had started our business, was still the chairman of the company at the time, decided that he was going to move my mother and himself to Dallas. Lived in Houston all of his life, or almost all of his life, and he decided to go to Dallas. And immediately, when he got there, things began to improve. Hadn't changed any policies, hadn't spent any capital, hadn't returned any of those products back to the shelf that people were asking for, that felt like that we in Houston had cut out. Very similar to this dynamic that's going on between Dominick's and the parent company and the people here. I'll bet you that there's 10 to 20% more items in a Dominick store today in just raw SKU count than there was back in 1997. I'll bet there is. But yet people say, oh, they've just taken everything out of the stores. Probably have taken some of the wrong things out of the stores. There's no question about it. But it's been done in the wrong way. And we were doing it in the wrong way up in Dallas too. So my father goes up there and immediately becomes their advocate. He says, I'm here because I'm going to get you what you want. And all of a sudden, all that hatred for Randall's and the people down in Houston that owned this Dallas company, all of a sudden that turned, because they felt like that we cared about them. If the chairman if he felt strongly enough about the company or cared enough about it to move up there, it totally turned around the morale in the stores, which in turn turned around the customers. And when we sold that company, the Tom Thumb portion of our company was worth a whole lot more to us in that transaction than the Randall's piece. And that was a testament to him and what he did. And so I'm glad that I got to see that modeled for those few years that he was up in Dallas. Spent a lot of time in the stores, meeting people, getting plugged into the city. And that's what I want to do. I want to become a part of the city, and I want to be an advocate for our employees. They'll tell me what our customers want, and then it's my job to get it. And the problem has been is the system in place up to now has made it very difficult for our employees to get what the customers want. And so I'm going to smoothen that out for our customers, and that'll be a good thing for our customers and for our company. Well, let's see what else I can tell you. A lot of people want to know what our strategy is, and I think I probably talked a lot about that already. I think that the main thing I want to do is give Dominick's its identity back, and we've got to return to local merchandising again. You know, this is not a city that operates very well with a cookie cutter approach. There's, you know, so many different neighborhoods that have all kinds of different ethnicity patterns that need to be marketed to. And our company is going to have to be nimble enough to be able to do that again. So if you're living in an area that's predominantly Jewish, we want to have Jewish products in our stores again. You know, we've got a lot of work to do. And I tell people this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. We need to reconnect with our suppliers again. There's been no relationship with our suppliers. Some of you are here today, and you know that. To do business with us a lot of times meant that you had to, you know, go to California, or at least work the political system that existed that generally meant that someone in California had to approve something. So it was very, very cumbersome, very time-consuming. We need to have relationships, again, with our local suppliers, and we will have. I think Dominick's has done a great job in being involved in the community. I don't think they've ever lost that edge, but I do think that's something that we will continue to grow upon in the future. So getting our identity back, local merchandising, reconnecting with our customers, employees, suppliers, and with the community, that's our strategy. I'm very encouraged by what I find here. I like this city. I met some really wonderful people, a lot here today. I love the business environment here. This is a very embracing city. It's a very pro-business city that welcomes people from the outside, and I think that is a wonderful spirit that this city has. I like the diversity here. You know, that's a plus. That's not a minus. That is a plus. We've got great employees at Dominick's to work with, and they really, really care about Dominick's. And you know, the thing that I hear more often than not is, you know, we're cheering for you. I hear that a lot. People have told me that. You know, we're really cheering for you out there. That feels good, and I know that you are. It's also pretty motivating. So I appreciate that. We have a long way to go, but I think we're off to a great start. Those of you who follow us closely, I think that you would already find out that the morale in our stores is improving. I will even tell you, without giving you any specifics, that I believe sales are starting to improve already too. So our people are getting excited, and I'm having a lot of fun. And my wife and I are very happy to be here in this great city, and you've been so kind and warm to us. We appreciate that very, very much. You have a great city, and I look forward to being a part of it for a real long time. And I want to thank you especially for coming today. I know a lot of you came from a long distance just to be here today. Really, really appreciate that. It speaks volumes for how much you really care about Dominick's. Thank you very much.
I'll get the questions going. Randall has agreed to take some questions, so we're on cable TV. So if you go over to that microphone where I'm pointing and just state your name, and Randall will field some questions. It's all yours.
I'm trying, Randall. Just give me a second. It's a large lunch.
Be nice now.
Randall, I'm Joyce Saxon. I'm on the board of City Club.
Hi, Joyce.
I left Palm Springs, where I've just discovered that I could walk to Pamela, your wife's ancestral home, in the 55th day of the strike. Is there any other issue that would come up in Illinois besides the health care issue? Anything else that's on the table?
Not that I'm aware of right now. I think that one of the things that I'm really grateful for, and I probably shouldn't even mention it, but the strike in California has spread to other divisions of Safeway. And I'm grateful that it hasn't spread here. And I don't know who is holding that at bay, but I want to thank them for doing that, because I think that it's important that we all have a chance to work things out. And I think that can only hurt us further. So I don't know what all the other issues that might come up would be. Certainly there will probably be others besides just the health care. But I think as long as everybody's committed to making everybody equally unhappy or equally happy, I think that we'll get something done to everybody's satisfaction. Thank you.
I'm Biff Ruttenberg in the real estate business. There's been a great deal of press recently about slotting fees and the potentially anti-competitive effect that they have because some of the smaller firms, particularly local firms, can't afford to pay slotting fees to get space on the shelves. Would you comment on this, please?
Well, I have never, I've never really been a big fan of slotting fees myself. I would tell you that if a buyer, category manager, company CEO is doing their job properly, they will get the products on the shelves that the customers want. And if it's a product that customers want, and there happens to be money that will help us as grocers offset the high cost of putting a product in, then we would like to take advantage of that naturally. But we also understand that there's small vendors, there's small local operators that don't have the money, that that can't pay those exorbitant slotting fees sometimes. And so we find ways to get those products on our shelves too.
Hello, Mr. President. I'm Morgan Carter from Omnibus Television. Just thought I'd make you feel comfortable. I'm from the grocery culture myself, 16 years old at a Kroger store in Lansing, Michigan. Had two quick questions. How many total employees does Dominick's have? And I want to make sure I understood. Did you say that you're going to control the advertising for this local area now as opposed to California? Thank you.
That's right. We have 15,000 employees. And when I say we're going to control the advertising, I mean that. We will control the look, the feel, the dollars spent. Every way that you would control it as an owner-operator, we will control that also. Other questions?
Let's give him a round of applause. Randall, hold on.